This is the other 51. I'm Brian, and this week we're doing a special episode in light of the Damar Hamlin story that's dominating sports and the NFL right now. We wanted to talk to somebody who's spent more time with him probably than anybody else. So our old friend of the show, Tyler Dunne, thanks for joining us this morning, man.
Pleasure to be here. Always good to see you, even under any circumstances, Brian. So thanks so much for having me, brother.
I appreciate you jumping on. So we should say, just for a point of reference, we're recording this in the early morning, January 5th, 2023. And the news is there's no new news, which there was a slight improvement, or there's the Bills reported that he showed signs of improvement. All the news reports have Damar in critical condition, but with improving signs, Tyler, are you hearing anything that hasn't been anything else that hasn't been widely reported on that, or is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, nothing really extra that I've heard here. It's kind of that general progress, moving in the right direction, and I think we've all had loved ones at some point who were in that position, right, with intubated at the oxygen level, an oxygen level that's really high, and you're seeing it go down. You just hope that everything else is firing, all the other organs, and that period of time when he's getting CPR, that they acted fast enough, quick enough to save his life, that nothing else was affected. So I am no doctor. I shouldn't pretend to be one, but I think what we're hearing is legitimate. He's making progress, and we can only all pray.
Right. So obviously everything we talk about today from a writer journalistic standpoint, secondary to his health and to his recovery and to everyone who was on the field, all his teammates in Buffalo, the players at Cincinnati. And Ty, I start off. How are you doing? You spent more time with him than almost anybody else, as I said, and you were there for the Bills Bengals game. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm fine. It's I appreciate it. It was, I kind of had to pinch myself doing a few of these conversations with people, around the country, just to do Damar justice. I just hope people can learn a little bit about him as a human being. And Charlie Weiss asked me the same question. I'm like, I never thought Charlie Weiss would be asking how I'm doing. But do not worry about me. That is for damn sure. All of my thoughts immediately just went to Damar Hamlin's mom and dad. I figured, they probably were at the game 4.5 hours away, and just seeing him get CPR, fighting for his life. And you know what was really eerie, Brian, is when, if you're in the stadium, you're in that bowl, really everybody watching this game, wherever you were, you didn't know if he was alive in that moment. And when that ambulance drove away, those bodies loaded onto an ambulance, and then it leaves the building. That's what I'm thinking. What in the heck is mom thinking right now? Yeah, and knowing their relationship. So it's yeah, and I'm sure we'll get into it as well. But I think we're all kind of conflicted in how we watch this sport. We've talked about it. I mean, I celebrate and glorify this violence as much as anybody, and I do still view this sport as special. It does a lot of good. There's something about it where the fact that it is just for a few select people that are willing to play it. These are modern day gladiators. It's that there's no profession like that in America. But to answer your question, yeah, I get conflicted about covering this game, watching this game, having a son that I always thought would play this game. And I think we're all wondering how we even what we should even think about the sport of football.
Yeah, and I definitely want to get into that later because I have some strong feelings on that. And I asked because we're friends and I care about how you're doing, but also from a news standpoint and journalism standpoint, we cover these traumatic events, and we're there witnessing it, and we're there reporting. And I was talking about this on a podcast in Toronto yesterday. There's that professional distance that you need to have when you're reporting anything, whether it's a football game, whether it's a news story or something like that. You kind of necessarily have to have that, but you're always a person first, right? You're always a human being, no matter what. And this is obviously an extreme level on all circumstances, but I do wonder about and think about, and I've talked to former students about this, about the mental health of reporters, of us who are covering the story and then have to come home and deal with having witnessed all of this. I think it's, it's something, as a society, we're getting better at talking about mental health and about that kind of stuff. And I think, I just think it's important for us to recognize the journalists and the reporters and the media people there. They're people too, and they saw this and they all went through something too.
It was shocking. I think wherever, however you took this in, it really just took your breath away.
Mhm.
And I think whether we're covered it in the media, the fans that were in the bowl, I think everybody is just in a state of shock still. I mean, watching these fans, you're talking 65,000 that were. I mean, let's face it, they had a few pops in them. they were ready for a party. That place was rocking. I mean, there were fireworks going off of the video board, and this felt like one of the biggest games that I've ever covered in the regular season. I mean, the atmosphere was electric, and it was really like everything just shut off, and the silence and people just staring and not knowing what was happening. It was surreal. And then, yeah, at a personal level, I'm immediately thinking back to when I'm with Damar Hamlin at Elmo's eating wings, getting to know him as a human being when nobody really knew him. We just decided to get together and get to know him. I wanted to introduce the Buffalo Bills' new safety out of Pitt, 6th round to the fan base if they cared. I mean, I wasn't even sure if fans would care that much about the 212th overall pick. Didn't know anything about his past, and he, to his credit, he wanted to get together with a middle-aged, balding, bearded white guy at a chicken wing spot in West New York. And just kind of bared his soul and really took it from the start all the way through, from all the friends that he's lost, his relationship with his mom, seeing dad taken away to prison. It's just wild what he's been through at such a young age. So yeah, thought of that for sure. And it is you don't expect any of this when you're covering football. I think we all expect the other injuries, and the guys just to pop back up. We all waited for the thumbs up, the wave, and it never happened.
Yeah. Were you covering it? Were you in the press box, or were you in this? I know you were down in Cincinnati for the game. Were you at the stadium? Were you in the press box covering it?
Yeah, so I was up in the press box.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what could you see? Tell me what it was like in the press box. What could you see? What was the kind of atmosphere in that room like?
So I think earlier in the game, was it Taron Johnson that suffered an injury?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And we completely forget about that, but that was scary. But he gets up, recovers, and so then when a teammate goes down, maybe we're all just preconditioned to expect what we just had seen to happen now. What we always see, or even if this is a concussion, he's going to get up, he's going to be carted off. We're going to see what we always see. Even the ambulance doesn't really shock us anymore, sadly. I mean, Dane Jackson, that collision week 2 against Tennessee, where his neck just bends that direction, that was horrifying. An ambulance comes out, he plays in a couple weeks. So I think everybody up in the press box, even all of us who've seen these injuries every weekend, nobody really thought anything of it until you started seeing the reaction of Bill's teammates. And I know you got some of that on the TV copy, but really seeing it from afar, when you're up high and you almost see like individual players moving toward Damar Hamlin and then moving away. It's like they get closer and they see what's happening and then they can't see it anymore. That was scary. Tre'Davious White just being consoled by Mitch Morse. Dane Jackson, who I just mentioned, that shook up Damar Hamlin when he saw that earlier in the season. They're unbelievably close. They've known each other forever. He can't even be anywhere near this. And then Armando Seguera for outkick, he was sitting next to me, and Jay Skursky was on the other side of him. And I think Jay was the first one to notice, oh my God, they're giving him CPR. And then it's like we're all thinking, what? Okay, this is more serious. So then I borrowed Armando's binoculars. Good lesson. Always remember binoculars. He let me use them, and I'm looking down, and to see that sight, it just it's chilling. I mean, he's fighting for his life. They're trying to save his life. It was it was frantic and everybody was moving fast, but it was very controlled. I think what everybody's saying about these first responders is so true. I mean, there's no playbook for any of this, but there was one playbook, and it was saving this guy's life. They trained for this. They reacted quickly. They got out there and they resuscitated him. And to see that was unbelievable. It crossed a new threshold quick, right? It was this thing that we've always seen again and again and again that we're so desensitized to seeing, sadly, and then very quickly you realize, no, football doesn't matter. This game doesn't matter. This 24-year-old is trying to survive.
Yeah. I was watching at home, and they cut to a couple commercial breaks, and it's serious. And then I will never forget them showing Josh Allen and the look on his face. And then they immediately cut to, I think, Stephon Diggs and a couple of those players. And that was oh no, this is like, cause they were scared. It was not like the normal injury reaction. It was scared. So I want you to tell us. I know you've been talking a lot about Damar, and we want to give him, because he's what matters here and getting to know him. But 6th-round draft pick out of Pitt on a team that's already pretty good. How did you decide to profile this dude? I mean, it's not as random as writing a book about tight ends, but it's up there in kind of randomness, right? So how did you get connected with that? What about him in the first place said story?
It's right. It's a kind of two parts to that, Brian, because there is like the football element to it, where at that time it was pretty clear the Bills are going to be paying Josh Allen a lot of money. And when you pay that quarterback a lot of money, it's harder to keep everybody else. At that point, Stephon Diggs' future was up in the air. Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. This was a team with a lot of veterans that was just in the AFC Championship game, now paying the quarterback. And if you've learned anything, it's okay, when you pay that quarterback, you just got to start drafting a lot better than you're drafting. And their drafts weren't bad, but they weren't great. And it just struck me as the type of draft pick that they would be relying on. Hyde and Poyer have been, indestructible. They haven't really known life without either one of those safeties. They've been around since my podcast partner signed them, right? Jim Otis and Doug Whaley, they were still around that spring. So Damar Hamlin, I watched a little bit of his game. I really didn't watch a lot, and I thought he looked pretty good, and he's fearless. Was highly recruited before that, and so the wheels got turned a little bit. I knew his agency a little bit. I can't remember what stories I had done, but there was some type of relationship there with his agent, and then I saw on Twitter, and this is the other element of it, where he put out there, hey, top 5 wing spots. Where do I go, everyone? And when all of these fans just kept telling him, Barbill, Elmo's, Barbill. I'm like, all right, good. The locals are treating him right. Like he knows the good spots. He's not gonna just like stroll on over to Duff's or something. Which, hey, nothing wrong with Duff's.
Duff's are very good wings. Let's be frank about that.
So I just reached out to him through his agent and to see if he was interested in hanging out. Hey, let's get some wings. Let's introduce yourself to Bills fans. I don't know much about you. I don't think anybody really does, but I know you're interested in wings. So why the hell not? Let's just get together. And, it's the off season. I think it was like during OTAs. The training camp hadn't even started yet. The NBA playoffs were on. He was an NBA fan. So, watched a little bit of that. And to his credit, I think that's what's so cool about it. He's like, yeah, fine. He just throws himself into this world. And we get together, and it kind of took on a life of its own. I mean, I never expected to get into the topics that we did.
Right. So link to the story from Go Longs in show notes. Please read it. It's so well done. Looking back at it now, we won't retrace the whole story, but looking back at it now, what stands out to you with a little distance in the story and obviously everything that's happened? What stands out to you most about Damar as a person?
I think what stands out most, Brian, is I've talked to a lot of players, done a lot of profiles. I think I've covered the NFL since 06, 07 even. And what fans don't realize is for most players, it's a job. They've got a skill, they've got a talent, and they've got lives, they've got families, and think of all of us and all walks of life, right? There's a lot of people out there who they don't necessarily love their job and have a passion for their job. Like fans have a passion for their football teams. When their team loses in the playoffs and the season's over, they are depressed. I mean, especially you feel it here in Buffalo, just like I felt it in Green Bay. The town and the team, it's one and the same. So I think what stuns people is when they hear, okay, this team suffered this epic playoff loss, and the players don't feel as depressed as them. Like that locker room cleanup day the next day, they're getting their stuff together. They're sad. They didn't want to lose, but they're going to go see their families. They're going to go on vacation. They're going to go golf. They get to have a break from, smashing into other humans for a living. So it's very rare to find somebody who has like such a purpose, like a reason to get up in the morning, go to work, throw yourself into this profession we can't wrap our heads around, where you're at risk of every type of injury. And Damar Hamlin had a very, very clear purpose. I think that's probably what stands out more than anything, that was running through my head as I was driving back from Elmo's. It's like, man, this guy gets it. I mean, at that point, he's 21, 22 years old, but he wanted to make an impact on lives in McKees Rocks. He knew the life he lived, he did not want future kids to live. And that is your home, maybe not even heating in the middle of the winter. It's going to school and not having a lunch and having to ask your buddy for a couple bites of his. It's seeing so many friends tragically die, more than half before the age of 21. It's not having a dad for 3.5 years because he's in prison for the intent to sell drugs. It's all of this stuff. He knew that football was a platform for him to do some real good. And that's the good that we can take out of this is the sport itself is barbaric, and we're all wondering, and how do we even watch football on Sunday after what we saw on Monday? But if it can provide good, it's Damar Hamlin is out there because he wants 12-year-olds in the position that he was in to know there is hope, right? There's a light at the end of the tunnel. And he realized that. Like in our conversation, he said it. And, there was probably a small part of me, like a lot of people that are thinking, okay, dude, like you're 6th-round pick. You're going to be like a third stringer. Who knows if you make the team? And he's thinking big picture about having a higher purpose and inspiring. And that's exactly what he's doing right now. I mean, I can't wait for him to wake up and see what he's doing. This is unbelievable. The money being raised, everybody unified in prayer. Think about how divided we are as a nation in so many ways. I've never seen anything bring people together like this. It's special and it's remarkable, but it's something he always envisioned in his life.
So I want to get you out of here. You mentioned this a few times about watching football and going back to it because it's Thursday as we're recording this. The last weekend of games is on Sunday. And, I know we've talked a lot about the violence in the games and eradicating it and doing it. And everyone listening to this who's listened to us before knows we have kind of a disagreement on it. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. But it's weird. Like this, I'll be honest, this shook me. We were out to dinner last night and they had like TVs on behind the bar while we're waiting for a table. And they had like Bills, it was Sports Center. So they had like Bills highlights as they're talking about the Bills, and they had other highlights. Couldn't look. I'm like, I don't know how I can watch this team again. And this is this is my team. They're 12-3. They've got their best Super Bowl chance probably since the 90s, since I was a kid. And that's not prescriptive, that's not judgmental, that's me. Like that's totally just me and my reaction to it. And how do you see this week going for you, covering this game, covering the just not even just getting into the physical nature of it, because, what happened to Damar was not, it was a total fluke. It seems to be, right. It was not a dirty hit. It was not a football play. It just kind of, it seems like a very horrible, tragic, unfortunate, bad luck. But how do you go back? How do you kind of plan to go back and watch this and talk about this and that first hit, that first snap? Just how are you thinking about that right now?
I really don't know how to think about it. Man, I wish I had a strong opinion for you. I'm struggling with this. I texted Gina, my wife, during the game, Do we want Sonny to play football? I don't know. Don't know if this is something I want my son playing. This is coming from somebody who started playing in third grade. My dad coached me, my entire youth, and then getting into high school, it just defined who I was as a person. I feel like I learned so many life lessons through this sport, and I truly believe other sports can't teach you the life lessons football does. There's so much good, the accountability, the leadership, the teamwork, the pressure of being under the lights and needing to perform. All that stuff is. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you if I didn't play, but that was the first time in my life I'm like, holy crap! Like I don't know, and that's on a personal level. And watching it, I think as a reporter, my mind went back to a conversation I had with Chris Borland. I'm not sure if we've talked about this, Brian, but that was my first story at Bleacher Report. I went down and spent time with obviously linebacker, Wisconsin, San Francisco 49ers, retired after one season due to concussion concerns. Like, he did his research and didn't want to put his brain at risk, and it shocked the country. I mean, nobody that good had retired that soon in our lifetime. And there was a point in our conversations, we're talking about concussions and the dangers of it, and how the NFL is not necessarily honest when it comes to what the collisions do to your brain long term. He turned the tables on me and said, "All right, Tyler, how do you reconcile covering this sport knowing what you know?" And I didn't really have a good answer for him. I really didn't. I said, "What, to be honest about it and let people know what the dangers are and the injuries." I kind of rambled on and on. I've thought about that question a lot since then. I mean, that was 2015, 2016. I think the answer is honesty, being truthful, but being upfront. On the NFL, from the NFL's perspective, just own it. Own the violence until you make it flag football and touch. You need to be upfront about the violence and let everybody know, from the players to the general public to those moms trying to make decisions on whether their son should play. This game is violent. It could do this to you long term. It could do this to you short term. And don't insult our intelligence with roughing the passer penalties that accomplish nothing. But you know what? Maybe you're not so hypocritical. You quit this Thursday night football nonsense. You don't have that 17th game. There's things that they can absolutely do preseason. I mean, college football players don't need exhibition games. Why do pro players? So I mean, that's where they could be more honest. And then I think we have to be honest as reporters and just always detail exactly what pro football does to these guys, what the game of football does to anybody, as we're covering it. And I stand by the fact that it's a special game, and I love the fact that these are dudes psychologically wired differently than anybody else, because they know it crossed the threshold. Nobody expected that Monday night, but they do know that they're putting their bodies and brains on the line in this game. And if you're willing to step into that it's inconceivable. And I applaud them for being willing to take that on. And I don't want to see it become something else, because I don't think there's any rule that could be put in place to stop what we saw. Right? I mean, it's a routine tackle, ordinary. Even Tua's concussions. He's falling down. He hits his head. Hey, maybe more padding in the back of the helmet is a little thing they could do, but just be honest, right? I just want more honesty. Let's not sell this as some hip, fun, hopscotch like event. It's violent. Guys are going to get hurt, and Lord, let's hope this didn't happen. I mean, I think we all in the back of our minds thought this day could come, but we didn't want to see it. It's here. So we all got to wrestle with how we watch this sport. And your listeners can probably tell I'm still struggling. Like, I'm trying to justify because I love it, right? I love the core of football. Shit, I don't know. I'm not really going to know how I feel until these games start again, and I'm watching, to be honest. I'm going to try to watch and cover it, and I'm going to get back to writing stories. But I think I even put my last story at Go Long. Like, I'll get back to writing features. I mean, I spent time with DJ Reader down in Cincinnati, and he was incredible. It doesn't feel right to even start writing that story.
Right.
I can't even put my head in that mind frame.
Right.
I had a few podcasts set up with Giants writers and Giants shows off of a Daniel Jones feature I did last week. And I had to tell, look, I can't talk about anything but Damar Hamlin right now. I can't even imagine breaking down the Giants quarterback picture at all. So I don't know what that turning point is. I think it's Damar Hamlin's health. Like, I think the better that he gets, the Bills are going to be inch closer toward being in a mind frame to play the game again. And everybody will be in a mind frame to think and talk about football again. I think we'll get there, but I don't think we're close right now.
So we'll put the story that you did on Damar back a couple years ago. That'll be in show notes. Your coverage in your podcast with Jim, which was excellent. We'll put that in show notes as well. We'll have a link to Damar's charity, and I'll put one into one that T. Higgins was doing, because he was the other player involved in it. And Damar's has raised a ton of money, which is great, but spreading the wealth is never good, and never bad, I should say. Spreading the wealth is never bad, and I'd like to do that. So Tyler, appreciate you jumping on a busy week, and we'll talk again soon, man.
Hey, it's always good to see you, Brian. Thanks for helping all of us figure out how to navigate through something pretty unprecedented. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to The Other 51. Show notes for this and all of our episodes can be found at sportsmediaguide.com by clicking on the Other 51 tab. If you like the show, please consider giving it a rating and a review, either at Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. It really does help people find the show. Our theme music is by Ellie Moritz.